Well, welcome back to the channel, guys, and another episode of the match vlog. It's been the 150 peg Angling Trust Commercial National, a match that I look forward to every single year with my Drennan Barnsley Blacks teammates. I've got a really good record in this competition. I've had a great time of it, so I'm always keen to fish it. Just as a footnote, I didn't film any footage from this match out of respect for my teammates. The last thing I want to be doing is faffing around with a camera while I'm fishing a team match. So just as a footnote, there won't be any footage from this match. But the first thing I want to talk about is just a huge well done to Drennan Lindome Lakes and the Angling Trust. I fully expected last week, as Boris announced all these new restrictions and all that we wouldn't have this event at all. I thought the plug's going to be pulled and we'll be left with no commercial national this year. But Lindome Lakes and Angling Trust put loads of protocols in place to ensure that we could fish safely, following the rules, and they did that, and it was brilliant. Hats off to them. Real strange one though. Obviously, team fishing is all about the camaraderie. You meet up with your mates, you meet up with people you haven't seen for a while, you see other teams and people you haven't seen and all that, and none of that even happened this year, which is a shame. That's a big part of team fishing. We got our draw the night before, so all the team discussion, team chat was all over WhatsApp and phone calls and stuff. So it's real strange. It was bizarre. I love that side of team fishing, that you get together with your mates and you're fishing together. I love it. And it was strange because I drew my peg the night before. I drove straight to my peg, fished my match, and I went home. There was no gathering afterwards. There was no gathering before. Didn't even see half my teammates. Luckily I got a chance to chat with Matt Godfrey because he was on the same lake as me, and Frankie was on the next lake to me, so I saw them too. But other than that, didn't really see anyone. So that was strange, and certainly I hope this all gets sorted for obviously every other reason. But it'd be nice to get some nice normal team events going again, and so people can catch up and whatnot. So, but a big thank you to those guys, Lindome Lakes and the Angling Trust, because at the end of the day, we're very fortunate that we can do these sort of events given the current climate. So well done, guys. It's greatly appreciated. So on to the event. And obviously, like I say, we won this event a few times. We won it at Heronbrook. I think we won it at Hallcroft, and we might have won it once or twice at Lindome. I can't remember. Definitely won it once. But for the last few years, it's been frustrating because we keep coming second to Lindome Lakes' own team. They've got a group of ringers, so to speak, where they're all really top guys anywhere, but really top guys at Lindome too, who know the venue inside out. So we're always gunning to try and beat those guys, which is a challenge. It's hard. So yeah, they're a really tough team to beat at Lindome Lakes. We've had some real close misses. I think we missed out on points. We might have missed out by 1 point one year and wait another year. It's just been close. So great battle we have with those guys every year. But there's also some great other teams in there as well. So as I mentioned before, the draw was done the night before, and it's a funny old one, this, because obviously at Lindome Lakes there's such a variety. There's lakes where you need feeder tackle, there's lakes where you need long pole tackle, short pole. You know what I mean? Some lakes are really deep, so you need a real mixture of kit. So I spent a lot of time last week in the evenings and that tying up rigs and sorting out different rods and stuff. And then when I actually got my peg, I was on Benny's peg 8, which I needed hardly anything for. So it just shows you. But my peg on Benny's, I was really happy to be on Benny's because obviously the fishing's good on there. There's loads of fish in that lake. But peg 8 is right in a corner. And Speedy rang me straight away. Nick Speed, who obviously knows the lakes like the back of his hand, and he says, "Look, Joe, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Great peg in the summer, but in the winter when the fish are backing off, it's rubbish." So that obviously didn't get me off to the best start. But never mind, I don't know the venue that well anymore, so I think that's often an advantage because you can just go with an open mind. The plan was, like I say, I'm right in the corner. So literally to my left at 10 to 13 metres, I had this long bank to fish up against. Didn't look very inviting though, I must admit. Right in front of me was the bank came back in and cut in, so it was I'll put a picture up of the peg. I took some pictures, like I said, I didn't take any video footage. It was like a C shape, I suppose, and then the angler was actually on the end of that C. So I've got I'm here, and then around this C, and then there's an angler there about 18 metres in front of me, fishing out on the point, so that cut me off. And then there was a spare peg to my right, and then the next guy, John, was on the next peg, And then he's chucking this way a bit. So I'm literally got this little bay and that was it. So I thought, oh, I need some fish to be here. I need some resident fish. If I'm going to do any good today, there needs to be some resident fish down here. Because I certainly can't explore for them because I've got no water essentially. So I'm setting up on my peg and I'm thinking, right, I need to make the most of what's in front of me. By that I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to pull any fish into my peg. So I start off on a top 5 of my pole with soft pellets, which is obviously a standard commercial starter, nothing special. I literally tapped in a cad pot full of micros, 4mm expander on the hook. I used a 4x14 F1 pellet float, and I just nailed it right on the... What was weird on Saturday was the wind was blowing really strong, like it was all over the place, and I expected the tow to be a nightmare, but it wasn't. It must have just been perfect. The way the wind was blowing and what little tow there was just negating each other, and it was just like whatever float you put in the water just sat there. So a 4x14 was lovely and stable, and I got 2 fish in the first sort of 10 minutes. Good fish as well, 3-pounders, nice F1s. And I thought, well, if I can just catch a few of these every hour, because obviously the weights on bennies are normally pretty big. You know, they're able to catch up to 400 pound in the summer, but you know, I fully expected to be fishing for 100 pound really, to get good points. But it just, I looked around the lake at like Paul. I could see Paul Wright, who's obviously a brilliant angler, and he does ever so well at Lindo. And he drew the point. I forget what peg it is. It's about 23, but he drew the point on bennies, which I just looked at and I thought, there's no way he's not winning the match today, if the lake fish is anything like to form. And I looked up and I just kept looking at him. He was like my marker to see how the lake was fishing. And Robbie Griffiths, my boss at work, was bang in front of me as well. And he's a brilliant angler too. So I thought, well, if I can just keep an eye on them two, surely I've got a good barometer as how to lake's fishing, because I couldn't see the guys around me. Even the guy directly in front of me on the next peg, I couldn't see him because of the tall reeds. So I didn't really have a gauge of how the lake was fishing. So I thought I'll use Paul Wright and I'll use Robbie as my sort of markers. And I'm looking at Paul thinking, he ain't catching a lot here. He's catching odd fish, but not a lot. And Robbie was catching nothing at all. So I thought, oh, right, so this might be a different day. And this is where I made a bit of a mistake, really, because I then thought, right, it's going to be hard. I'm going to switch to maggots. And I potted some maggots in. And then I started at a line at about 8 metres. It's very deep, that lake. It was 8 metres. It's probably 9 foot deep. And past the initial shelf, the lake was flat. I could fish wherever I wanted, pretty much with the same rig. So I'm on the bottom there at 9 foot, and after 20 minutes of trying maggots there, I'd caught a couple of nice roach, a good roach, 6 to 8 ounce roach. Couldn't swing them, I was trying, but I couldn't. And I just wasn't going anywhere at all. And like I said, the lake was fishing hard. Couldn't string anything together at all. No F1s at all on the pole other than those first 2 fish that I caught. And in hindsight, I'd have been better off literally catching those first 2 fish, or giving myself 20 minutes and then just put the pole down until the end. Anyway, so I've tried to make maggots work on a couple of different lines, and like I say, I'm just not getting any bites at all. A quick phone call to Matt Godfrey, who was obviously the other angler on our lake. He was on the other side of the lake. And I noticed him catching a couple of fish, but again, not a lot. And I rang him and he says, look, I've had 3 fish on a feeder. So I thought, well, I'm doing my peg more harm than good by fishing it here on the pole. There's obviously no fish here, or feeding fish anyway, at the moment. So the more I'm putting bait in, the more I'm feeding my peg and trying to force it, the worse it's going to get. So chucked out the feeder, just a little method, and I chucked it out to my right. I didn't chuck it far, I chucked it about 15 metres to my right. Bearing in mind it's windy, so I couldn't ever fish the pole there at this point. And I got one first chuck, only a little 1-pounder, but good start. I thought, brilliant. Chucked it in again, 3 more chucks. I was timing my chucks and I had 5-minute casts on Matt's recommendation, and it just wasn't, there was an odd tiny little liner, but not a lot. So that was a false dawn too. And this is where I got caught in a bit of a middle ground here, because I kept thinking, well, surely the pole was going to come good at some point. And I just kept swapping. But what was noticeable was every time I went on a pole, caught a couple of silvers, and then chucked the feeder back out, I'd get one straight away, as if whatever bait I'd left there before maybe pulled an odd fish in, and I caught him straight away. That's what I felt was happening anyway. Either that or they were backing off and then just gathering back in again. So I've caught an odd fish on the feeder, not a lot. And then what I've decided to do, I've unclipped. I've just bit of a random chuck really. I've chucked it as far right as I dare go, obviously within the rules. I've chucked it out, and it wasn't far, it was about 18 metres because it was all the water I had. I chucked it out towards John, and I've caught, I think I got to 8 fish on the feeder. 8 fish on the feeder, 2 short. And then again, the feeder just totally dried up. But by this point, this is probably 90 minutes to go. You could see a storm forming. We were forecasting, a load of rain, and you could see it forming. You get that lull in the weather when the wind drops, and then looks across the lake, and the lake went like a mill pond. And I thought, right, this is my chance. This is my chance to get out there long to where I think the fish are. So I quickly plumbed up my rig, 16 metres to my right, so as far out the corner as I can fish within the rules, because obviously it's 16 metre pole limit. So I've gone out and plumbed up, same rig as what I had before, 4x16 F1 maggot that I used for the open water, bulk and 2 droppers, just simple. And I tapped in 10 maggots. I didn't put any amount in because up to this point I've been quite aggressive with my bait, but I sacked that off, and I just literally tapped in 10 maggots, and I went in and I caught a nice skimmer first drop in, and then I caught an F1, and I thought, yes. I've done a lot of that sort of fishing at Tunnel Barn over the winters, not so much recently, but in years gone by. And I know that when it's hard like that for maggot fishing, it's not about what you've fed, it's about being in the right place at the right time. You've got to make the move, and you might do it with 10 minutes to go, but making that move will get you 2 or 3 extra fish. So I've gone out there and I've caught one within 5 minutes, and then I've caught another one, then I've caught another one, and just the same, 10 maggots and just sitting there. And it was like I fished a fluoro maggot and a red maggot, so a nice visible hook bait. And it would just sit there, and you could tell when there was one there, because if there wasn't one there, I'd catch a skimmer or a roach, and like I say, they were decent fish, 6-ounce fish, so I was happy catching them, but obviously I wanted these F1s. But if I went in and caught a roach or a skimmer straight away, you knew they weren't there, so it was a case of refeeding, setting the trap again, and waiting. But if I could get the rig to the bottom and sit, and I knew if I got past that sort of 30-second part where all the silver bites were coming, if I got past that, I knew I'd catch an F1, and that was what was happening. I was going in, and if I could get past 30-40 seconds, I knew my float would just sit there, a little dotted down because the lake was so calm, and it would stink under, and it was brilliant fishing. 11 Jura slip, was whacking them. I even had a real big F1, a 5-pounder. I didn't catch loads, I'm making this sound way better than it was, but I think I caught 7 or 8 on that, which given the day was amazing. And I even caught one right on the whistle. So that was my day. It was frustrating. I ended up weighing 19 kilo 500, so 43 pounds, something like that. So a nice day's fishing, which was actually 19th in the national. I couldn't believe it. Low weight. It was a low weight day. But obviously it's all about team points. And Speedy said to me the night before, if you get top 3 from that peg, you've bloody done a good job. So there was a 27 kilo up on peg 6, I think, no, 4, sorry, where the wind was blowing into. He caught 27 kilo. I think it was Alex Reynolds, so well done to Alex. He won the section. And then Brad Park, so I really fancied his peg. It was a bit tight where he was, but he was peg 11 to my right, so he was in the middle of the lake. And because obviously I fished to my right a lot, I could see F1s in front of him rolling, and I thought he's going to be hard to beat today. He had 22 kilos, so well done Brad for second in the section, and then I was third with my 19 kilo 500. So a real late, got me out of jail really with those late fish on maggots long. But I love that kind of fishing when you're just tapping it in and you're big strike. I just love it. So that was good. Did my job for the team. I think it would have been hard pushed. I maybe could have caught 2 more on a feeder if I'd have just been a bit sharper with, where I was chucking and stuff like that. So maybe I could have got second in the section, but there's no way on earth I would have caught 27 kilos, not a chance to win the section. So maybe lost out on a point there, but yeah, these things happen. Matt Godfrey did really well. He had 19 kilo as well, and he won the section. So, we had 4 points off Benny's. So a real good result, I thought, from 2 what looked like average pegs to me on paper. So that was that, and then obviously news was filtering in. It was looking really good. We had I think Frankie won his section on Loco. Let me just get this right. Gav Liversidge won his section. I don't know where he was. He might have been on Willows. Who else won the section? Don't want to miss anyone out. Oh, obviously Matt won his section. So we had 3 section wins. Ian Bowman, my hero, my mentor when I was younger, second in his section, so he did brilliant. He hasn't been carp fishing for well over a year, he said, so he was well chuffed with that result. Alan Scott on was second in his section. I think me and Oliver Scott on were third in ours. Speedy might have been fifth. So news was coming through that we had like some real good scores, but then we had two real bad uns, bad pegs. Jordan Holloway, who's obviously a young up and coming superstar, he was in the middle of strip, peg 18, and he had 2 F1s. And if he hasn't caught them, there ain't any fish there. So bad luck to Geordie, he only beat one, I think. And Tom Barlow also had a real tough day on Willers. Again, he's caught nothing, 1 or 2 F1s. So when anglers of that standard are only catching 1 or 2 F1s, you just know that they're not on any fish. So real hard luck for that. And you know, as soon as you've got two scores like that, you can't win. So that was obviously disappointing. We ended up third, so a bronze medal. But what was nice to see was a new team winning the event. Spotted Fin, Drennan Northwest, obviously a brilliant team from over in the Northwest. Absolutely took it apart. They had a brilliant score and just absolutely pissed it, really. They just performed brilliant. So well done to those guys. Obviously Robbie Griffiths is my boss, is a part of that team. I think he was third in his section on our lake too. So well done, guys. Brilliant result. Lindome Elite beat us for the silver medal. I think they beat us on weight, so that was obviously disappointing, but there you go, that's how nip and tuck it is between us two all the time. But well done to the Northwest guys, and like I say, I've got to say a massive well done to the organisers. Angling Trust, Lindome Lakes, fantastic job, brilliant, absolutely awesome, so well done. We'll be back next year to try, and hopefully under better circumstances we'll have a better time of it next year. So thanks everyone for watching, guys. You know, the channel keeps going from strength to strength. We're getting loads of subscribers, loads of views lately, and I thank you all for it. So thank you very much, guys. Apologies for the lack of video footage. Like I say, I didn't want to get involved with that at the weekend because of obviously out of respect for my teammates. So left the camera at home, but hopefully this will keep you up to breast with how it went. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.